It's funny how we grow up thinking there's this invisible timeline we're all supposed to follow. You know what I'm talking about. That unspoken checklist that's been quietly handed to us since we were kids. Do well in school, pick the right subject, choose a degree that leads to a real career. And somewhere along the way, we convince ourselves that once we tick off each step, the next one will just appear. Once I finish high school, I'll know what degree I want. Or once I finish university, I'll know what career I want. Once I land that job, I'll know exactly where my life is going. I mean, you probably spend so long working towards these milestones, imagining that everything will finally click into place when you get there. And then you do, and instead of clarity, you're left with this giant question mark. And that is where I am right now. Welcome back to Listen. After 3 years, I finally made it. I flew back to Lisbon for my graduation ceremony because yes, I just graduated. The moment I've been working towards for the past 3 years. And instead of a clear path, I've got more questions than answers. Everyone around me seems to have a plan. Master's applications, job offers lined up, 5-year goals perfectly mapped out. And then there's me. I'm just here. Excited? Sure. But also very confused and overwhelmed, wondering if I missed some secret meeting where they handed out the answers. For so long I believed that life works like a conveyor belt. Finish one step, move to the next. But what I realized recently is that it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes the belt just stops and you're left standing there, degree in hand, unsure which way to go. If you're anything like me, that uncertainty can feel a lot like failure, even when deep down you know it isn't. But this is the part that no one really talks about. I always see people after they graduate, they're already moving on to the next thing. But what about those that don't? What about us that don't have everything figured out? What about those living in the gap between finishing something huge and figuring out what's next? The in-between space that can feel terrifying. Being back in Lisbon brought back many memories. I remember the first time I landed here. I was so nervous. I didn't know how I was gonna survive abroad. I was scared, but so excited. I didn't know what the future had in store for me. But I wasn't scared about that. But now that I'm finished, that fear is there. But maybe it might just be the most important season of my life. The thing about this time of year is everyone's moving. If you scroll through your feed right now, it's probably filled with first days of school pictures, fresh notebook, back to school blogs, people moving into new flats, buying planners, sharing their semester schedules. All around us, there's this collective sense of forward momentum. And I used to love that feeling.
And it's time to do some makeup, and it's my first time using James Charles Morphe palette. Let's see how this goes. Also, I have some new brushes here as well. I don't know how to use this. This is a base canvas. For my first time, it is actually good, guys.
I mean, for the past 7 years, from high school into university, August and September has always been the start of something new. A clean slate, a fresh chapter, something to throw myself into. Even if I didn't love every moment of it, there was comfort in knowing exactly who I was meant to be and what I was meant to be working on. But now, for the first time, I'm not part of that cycle. It was so nice to see my classmates for one last time. Everyone looked so good in their dresses and suits. And although the ceremony was about 5 hours long, it literally felt like time flew by one last time. Just like that, a 3-year journey had come to an end. Signing each other's yearbooks, saying our last goodbyes, and then it was done. Now there was no new classes, no timetables, no looming exams or essays. Just open space. And you think that would be somehow freeing, like I've been left off the hook. But honestly, it feels like everyone else is getting on a train and I'm just standing alone on the platform. There's this unspoken pressure to have your next move lined up immediately. to go straight from graduation to a master's or a job or an internship or something that proves you're making progress. When you don't, it's always feel like you're just wasting your time. While the day I graduated brought back so many memories, it was also so nice to get to make new ones with my parents. We brought my dad to this restaurant me and my mom initially came on my birthday 3 years ago. And it reminded me that somehow life has a way to come back to itself. It was like a full circle moment to go back to the places that 3 years ago were so new, but now I somehow felt connected to them. And it made me realize something that I hadn't realized until now, and something I wish someone had told me before I graduated, that these feelings, feeling like we're wasting our time when we're not productive, those feelings aren't a reflection of reality. Productivity is not only measured in numbers. Productivity can be so many other things. And it's so sad to think that in the world we live in, we only see productivity in numbers and nothing else. What this does, it just makes us feel useless most of the time.
Good morning. I've graduated.
We've been taught that worth is measured in visual progress only, that if you're not working on something tangible, you're not gonna move forward. And when that's the standard, of course, figuring things out feels like failure. The reality, the in-between is part of the process. No one can escape it. Every single person you look up to, whether it's an artist, an entrepreneur, a writer, a business owner, they have had seasons where they didn't know what was next for them. They just don't post about them, or we just don't hear so much about those. We only see the breakthroughs, not the breakdowns. We read about their wins, not the wandering, not their failures. And yet the wandering is where so much of the real work actually happened, where they were able to try and start again. These moments are where you start seeing what actually excites you, when there's no deadlines or grades attached to it, when the only one that can truly see your progress is yourself. And that's what I'm trying to remind myself of right now. Because yes, I'm not gonna lie, I'm overwhelmed. I'm watching other people speed ahead while I'm still deciding which direction to take. But maybe that's exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. Unsure of my next step, finally breathe out, relax. Have time to go and pursue some projects that I'm passionate about, whether it be writing or cooking or whatever new fun project comes to mind. Because to be honest, I have too many to choose from. When I started my bachelor's, I honestly thought that by the time I graduated, I'll have everything figured out. Not just my career path, but my life plan. I imagined that somewhere along the way, I'll stumble into my thing. Passion that would magically shape my future and give me a clear, straight path to follow. And in a way, that's the story we're sold. School makes it seem like everything happens in neat, predictable steps. You study hard, you get the grades, you get the degree, then you get the job. But no one really mentions about the fact that for a lot of us, the end of one chapter doesn't immediately reveal the next. Sometimes it just opens up a blank page, and that's it. If anything, I think I'm being more unsure now than when I started. Back then, 3 years ago, not knowing felt exciting, like a challenge I eventually solved. I just told myself it was future me's problem. Cause 3 years can't go by that quickly, can they? Well, apparently they did. because now this pressure feels heavier. Like I'm running out of time to figure it out. Because I have the degree now, so I should eventually get the job, right? People are asking me what I want to do now. And it's giving me deja vus because when you're 18, people also tend to ask you what you want to do. But then it was okay to say, I don't know yet. But now that you're holding the diploma, I think the expectations changes. And the funny thing is, I do have passions. I've fallen in love with baking and cooking. I went from someone that would burn pasta, couldn't cook a cake to save her life, to enjoying the process and not just for the end result, but for the way it makes me slow down and figure things out step by step. I would have never known I could actually be good at cooking if I hadn't left home. I've rediscovered how much I enjoy writing. The kind of writing that lets you get lost in your thoughts and find something new in them. And I really want to start writing again. I still don't know how, but stay tuned for that. And finally, if I had never traveled abroad, I would have never started my YouTube channel. I would have never known how much I enjoy editing and filming, sharing pieces of my life with you guys, and building this little community that means so much to me. It all started as a secret. My family didn't know. I told no one. It was like my little side project, my little form of escape. And now it means so much to me. Actually, all of those things mean so much. They might not be the most quote-unquote productive thing, but they are not meaningless to me. I know they don't fit neatly into a traditional job title, so it's kind of easy to dismiss them as just hobbies or quick passions. And I think that's a trap so many of us fall into, especially with those things we enjoy doing the most. Because we believe that something only counts if it's part of a clear career path. The reality is, figuring out what you want isn't always a straight line. Sometimes it's a messy, winding road that doesn't look like progress until you look back and see how far you've actually come. Going back home felt very strange. Because this time I knew I wasn't gonna be coming back. I knew that for the foreseeable future, I wasn't planning on traveling more. Which is kind of sad as someone that really loves traveling. It's still hard for me to admit that I'm proud. And even if I feel lost, maybe it could just mean that it's proof that I'm still exploring. I think part of why this season feels so strange, it's because for so long I've measured my life in milestones or deadlines. Those little checkboxes that made it easy to track whether I was on the right path. And now that there's no checklist, there's no one telling me what comes next or whether I'm doing the right thing.
So graduation happened and we're back home. Today is basically my third day as a graduate and it feels so weird, honestly. I still cannot believe a 3-year journey has come to an end right now. I mean, I'm looking to see if I can apply to some job. Right now, our focus is to just enjoy the summer for once, not having any plans. No one talks about how weird it is after graduating, not knowing really what to do. I know some people already have like internships lined up or jobs already. What about those that don't have anything? I don't know, it's just so weird to go from like a very high stress environment and like very organized in a way to literally being like, you can do whatever you want, you can read, you can cook if you want, you can literally scroll on social media for 24 hours. I think I'm just gonna figure it out as I go. I'm trying to just, spend time with my family. Even though my brother still goes to school right now, and my mom's and sister are still working. And my dad is in England, so let's not dwell too much on the future and try to live more in the present. That's what we're gonna do.
Right now, it's completely up to me. And while that should feel liberating, it also feels like standing on the edge of a cliff with no map, no compass, and no idea where the ground is. It's funny how we're told to follow our dreams, but rarely taught how to navigate the silence in between them. This quiet space where you're not moving at full speed towards something is uncomfortable because it forces you to sit with yourself, to ask questions you've maybe been avoiding. Like, what do I actually want? What kind of life do I want to wake up to in 5 years? And I'll be honest, I don't have answers to any of those. In reality, some days I feel like I'm on the verge of figuring it out, and then the next day I'm back to square one. Googling master programs I'm not even sure I want to apply to, or scrolling through job listings that don't really excite me just because it feels better than really doing nothing. Somehow doing all of this just feels like I might be doing the right thing, but at the same time it kind of feels pointless. Maybe right now the point is that this season isn't the time for having all the answers neatly lined up. Maybe it's about learning how to sit with uncertainty without letting it define me. Because life isn't a race to the finish line, it's a series of seasons. Some fast-paced and full of clarity, others slow and full of questions. And neither is more right than the other. I've been thinking a lot about how we're conditioned to see productivity only in terms of output. There has to be something tangible, otherwise it doesn't count. But what about the work you're doing on yourself? The learning that comes from trying, failing, and trying again. The growth you can't put into bullet points on a CV. Shouldn't that matter as well? And shouldn't that matter even more than the things we actually measure? The truth is, some of the most important turning points in life don't look like milestones at all. They look like baking cookies at 2 p.m. just because you felt like it. Or maybe having a conversation that changes the way you see things, even if you can't explain why.
Now we're gonna go make some cake. I have here a recipe that I've written down. We use some fruit pulp. My little baby that still doesn't have a name, which is this my sourdough starter. Also, don't mind my family just talking in the background. Ooh. And then some syrup. You see, I'm just trying to do a leftover cake. This is how my summer is gonna look like, just me experimenting with a bunch of recipes. Now, this is my favorite part of baking. I just love it so much. In the end, I always make a mess. Let's do a bit of cinnamon because my family doesn't really like cinnamon. Okay, that's good enough. It wouldn't be a leftover cake if I didn't put leftover cookies. This is gonna be a very weird cake. It's the worst that could happen. Time to put it into this one. These two things go in the oven. Let's go.
Life, it's about the small, ordinary moments that build the foundation for the bigger ones. And yet, we rush through them, convinced that if we're not hustling towards the next big thing, we're somehow never gonna get there. I've been guilty of that too. Of rushing past the present because I was too busy chasing the future. But now, with no fixed plan in front of me, I'm starting to realize that I have to pay attention to these little moments for what they really are. In between chapters that quietly shape who we become. When you're not rushing to get somewhere, you start noticing more. You notice the way time actually feels when it's not counted down. You start noticing how the person you are when no one's watching might be closer to who you actually want to be than the one you were performing as before. I used to think my 20s were supposed to be the launch of everything. Decade where I finally figured it all out and build the foundation for the rest of my life. And maybe they still will be. But I think it's equally possible that they'll just be a decade of trying things. And I think that's okay as well. Even if right now it doesn't feel like it. So it took me about an hour and a half. I just finished this book. I'm just gonna chill for a bit and then probably have lunch. Very nice book. Recommend if you have not read it.
For lunch, we're having pasta. And we're trying this very fun shaped pasta. Look at this. What's your favorite pasta shape? Let me know in the comments. And then we're having some tomato sauce with some vegan meatballs. So now this obviously needs some oregano. And now we're just gonna heat this up. Oh, this smells so good. Crumble some of this on top. And I obviously need some noosh. And then I have some veggies on the side because trying to use up leftovers is like my signature. Now let's go try this. Oh, that's very good. Also, this shape is so fun. And I've tried this meatball before and it was quite good because it doesn't taste like meat. But I know people like it when it tastes like meat. I just don't. Anyways, let's enjoy lunch before my sister comes. This is a time for me to get things wrong and start again, collecting all these small puzzle pieces that will only make sense years from now. And if that's all it is, I think I'm gonna be okay. Because maybe the real success isn't ticking the next box, but building a life where you don't feel like you have to. So the dresses finally arrived, even though I've already graduated. We're still gonna try them on. This is the first dress. I like the opening. I wouldn't have worn this one, I think. Although the color is pretty. Let's try the second one, shall we? This is the second one. This just doesn't work for me. Also, it's too pink for my liking. Just not me, you know. Not my vibe. Now this is the third one. It's also quite summery. And last one. In this one, I feel like I'm getting married. And I don't know if I'm ready. Actually, it's quite cute. I think I would prefer the one I tried like a couple of days ago. Otherwise, this one is actually also quite nice. I like the dress I wore. So it was nice to still get to try the dresses.
So I'm not going to rush to write the next headline of my story. I'm going to leave this chapter like it is the point. Maybe when I look back, I'll see that this season, the one with no map, no perfect ending, was actually the one that shaped me the most. It's time for us to stop treating the present like a waiting room for our real life to start, and begin to see this for what it is, your real life. It might not be perfect, but whoever said that the unperfect cannot be beautiful as well?